Hello, Cherries, and welcome to Live Cherry Sunday, episode 165. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to improve your bending, vibrato, and intonation. So, before we get right into this lesson, I just want to say hello to some of my friends here in the chats. Give you guys a round of applause. And of course, I'll put a timestamp in the description to get right to the lesson, which will be in just a few minutes. But I want to say hello to Scott Olson. Give you a round of applause here. Ozman. So good to see you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me on another Sunday afternoon here. That's awesome. Let's see. So we got good morning all. How's that Nashville working out? Oh, must be towards Scott. Nashville's awesome. But I'm in Brooklyn, New York, right here, and sipping on some coffee right here. Jeffrey Boyle. Hello, Mr. Jeffrey Boyle. Sounds good. Can you hear me out there? All right, hear my guitar? Got some coffee brewing. Good stuff. And everything tastes better in the Cherry mug. High strung Tally Jerry. Well, it's my Tally's over there, right there. I got the Les Paul kicking, and it's hung kind of high right here, just so you can get it in the camera. I don't really play it this high, but in order to get it all in there, you know, you have to have a wide angle lens for my fat head, right? And the guitar. So let me know if you can hear that okay and everything's good. So we're focusing on some bending today in vibrato and intonation. I think that's the most important thing for a guitar player. I'm going to give you a little example of it with this backing track here that I have. And for any of these backing tracks that I play here for you today that I created, just send me an email at info@cherry and I'll shoot them right over to you. I got them all handy, ready to go. But check this out, a little example. You got just a simple progression right here where it's a C sharp minor, E. Any chord. So you can take something simple like bend up to the root note, right, of the E. So, it's so important. I'd rather hear a guitar player just play very simply and play good vibrato, good bends, and everything like that. So, happy Chinese New Year, Jeffrey Boyle says. All right, well, I'm in Chinatown all the time. It's my old neighborhood. If you listen really closely, I'm in Brooklyn now. There's an ambulance going by. And at any time of the day, you could throw a guitar out the window and it's going to land on an ambulance, police car, or a fire truck. So that's an old joke. But yeah, so that's a little example of, you know, how important it is for your bending. Just bending right up into tune. And a great way to practice that would be to take like the major scale, E major scale. First off, if you're liking this video so far, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. What are you drinking out there? I have my Disco Unlimited Wild Jerry water mug here. See, I'm all branded out with every band that I play in, right? Nashville Tuned Telly. Oh, that's what you're talking about. You're Nashville tuned. Oh, Nashville tuned. What is that exactly? Is that like that Nashville tuning? I should know that. Is that just like an open tuning? But so take the E major scale. Here's a simple way of doing it. I'll even blow this up right here. See that? E major scale, starting on this E on the G string, and carrying up to the B string. A great practice is to take the note right below it, right? Hit the E note, take the note right below it, and bend up to it. And don't use any vibrato yet. I mean, if you know the major scale, I'm going down a half step because that's the note in the scale. Going down the octave. So you have this note. So I'm taking the note right below this one and bending it up to the E. Trying to match it. Then I take the second note in the scale and I bend up the note below that. Trying to match it. So it's not the note below, it's the note in the scale below it. So I'm taking the first note E. I'll take a D sharp, and I'll bend it up to the E. Go back to the E, go to the next note up in the scale, F sharp. So you bend the E up to the F sharp. You have the next note in the scale, which is a G sharp. Bend from the F sharp to the G sharp. Next note is an A. Let's take the G sharp up to an A. Next note is a B. Take the A to a B. Next note here, C sharp. Take the B up to a C sharp. Next note is a D sharp. Take the C sharp up to the D sharp. And then lastly, E. D sharp up to the E. Oop. I can't play it. What is it? Right there, like that. Okay, hopefully you're getting that. Let's see. Scott. Note, replace the bottom four strings with lighter gauge and tune them an octave higher. Ah, that's right. I've heard of that. Okay, that's really cool. I've never tried that. That's really, really cool. So, something really important about this bending is that it'll be so much easier if you don't use your fingers to bend. And you think I'm probably crazy. How do you not use your fingers? Well, I'll show you something that's a lot stronger than your fingers, and that's your wrist. Your wrist is a lot stronger, and the fulcrum of your hand. So when you wrap your hand around the neck, I'll show you this. This is really important too. When you wrap your hand around the neck here, the most strength you have is in the wrist right here. In the fulcrum, I believe this is the fulcrum of your hand right here, this part. And so what's really cool is this, if you can grab a note like this F sharp here, and you don't use your fingers to bend, but you use your wrist and your fulcrum here, and this whole area right here where you're cupping the string, you take this and you just bend you bend this up like this. See that? That's bending. So I'm not moving my fingers at all. I'm getting I'm hitting the note, I'm holding on to it, and now that's it for my fingers. The rest is it's all in your hands. It's in your hands now. So, and it gives you so much more control. Because now I'm using my wrist for the vibrato as well. And you have a lot of control because you're not straining your fingers doing that. And that goes for all the notes. If I wanted to bend up this B to a C sharp, I'm not taking the note, I'm not using my fingers and pushing it up like that. See, now you have, you're worried, but your fingers are going to get caught up with the other strings. You don't have as much strength or control that way. It's just a lot easier to take the note, hold on to it, and then forget that it's even under your finger. Just let your finger hold the string and let your wrist glide it up the fret. And if you feel like you're a little flat like this, bend it up more with your wrist. Definitely have a lot more control. Of course, there's other ways you could do the bends. You're not going to be able to always have the situation where you can use your fulcrum. Like I'm in this area right here, and I'm using just my middle finger. Middle finger. Didn't mean the Flippy the Bird right there. And I'm bending it up. All kinds of ways. But I think that's a really, really important way to do it. And Jeffrey seems to like it. Are you talking about the Nashville tuning? Maybe it's both. So you'll gain so much more control with your bending if you use the wrist and your fulcrum of your hand and not your fingers. So no matter where you are, especially if you're down here, you need all your fingers, the strength of all your fingers. Look, I'm using all 4 of them right here. All 4 of these babies. You don't want that screen. It's a little better. So all 4 of these fingers I'm using. I'm not using just this one. Imagine that if I took this one finger, I tried to bend it all the way up. It's harder. If you have all 4 of them, you have the strength of these 3 fingers pushing as well as this pinky. Or you can even use this finger, your ring finger, which I use a lot. Good ear training would be to hit the note first that you want to bend to, and then bend up to it. Very, very cool. If you're enjoying this video, hit that like button, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. I go live every Sunday, and we do stuff like this. We hang out, we play guitar, and we learn some stuff. So, the bend hand and the tuning. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. Here's another great trick for practicing. So say you have your E major scale right here, right? Bending up the note right below it, but on the string below it. You do this all the time. You know, like you do it up here. You do it all the time, right? Do it down here. Take the note. Here's the E major string, E major scale. And you bend up the note. That's on the B string. You bend up the note on the G string up to the note of the pitch. Now, a great way to do it too is to hit the note till that vibration stops. I like this. I like this. That's a really tough one. Really, really hard to do, that type of stuff. And it's tough on the fingers, so you should really stretch out. Stretch your fingers first before you do stuff like this. And yeah, really, really good. So any questions about this stuff, let me know. Any questions about struggling with tuning, vibrato, not necessarily tuning, vibrato, bending. I know that it took me a while to realize the importance of bending. You know, it sounds like a simple thing, but you know, sometimes you learn the hard way. I was actually in a studio recording session years ago, and I really didn't know the importance of, well, I feel like I always knew, recording my own music, I always knew when I created my own guitar solos that you want to have everything perfect in them. You know, the riffs, the licks, the vibrato, and the bending in there, and the intonation. And but there was another time where I'd go in and do a session for somebody else, and it's not necessarily worked out, so you're trying to work something out, and that's where it's really, really highlighted. You know, when you're recording and you're listening back to yourself, and you're listening back to your bends and your vibrato, and you notice, wow, it's not as good as it should be, and you need to work on that. And ever since then, I've really, really emphasized doing that. Every time I play, I'm always aware of it. And somebody did say once that the vibrato and intonation really separates the amateurs from the professionals. And I think it really does too. When you hear somebody that has horrible vibrato, or just not good vibrato, or bends, it's like, that just tells me right there where they are as a player. You know, it's not a mean thing or spirit thing. It's just an obvious thing. You know, if you hear someone in their bending and their vibrato and the intonation is spotless, it's like, wow, you know that they are really good. I don't have to hear him play like, you know, a million miles an hour or speed or anything technical. But if I hear good bending or good vibrato, I'm sold on it. So you're bending two notes. Actually, I'm bending one note in that particular instance. I'll show you right here. For that really good practice right here, what I'm doing is I'm bending, say you have the E major scale like that, right? On the B string. I'm taking the string below it. I'm holding this fretted E on the B string. And then I'm bending up the note on the G string while I'm holding the fretted note on the B right here. I'm taking the note, the D on the G string, while I'm still letting this ring. It's kind of hard. You got to get your finger over that string, over the B string, and grab it with, you know, some help from the middle finger. Then I'm going up the scale. So then the next note would be the F sharp. So I take the E and bend that up. Then the next note's G sharp. So I'm taking the, what am I taking? The F sharp here. Bending that up. And then the next note is A. And I'm actually not doing a whole step bend, I'm doing a half step bend there. So I'll take the A, and I'll take the G sharp, because that's the way the scale works. It's better with some distortion on, because you can really hear the vibrations. So it's tough. It's a really, really tough one. And let's see. Bends and vibrato are two pieces of playing which can make or break a piece of music. I couldn't have said it better myself. Right there. Absolutely right. They should sound inspired, not half-assed. Yeah, that's the thing too. It's man, it's so important to get it right up there. Get it right to the pitch. And give it some vibrato. The vibrato we'll get to. It's the pitch that I'm more concerned with at this spot. And they should sound inspired and not half. What is that? Half. Until the bend rings in unison with the B. Yeah, that's a tricky thing right there. It's kind of hard. You hear it narrowing, the waves, and you hear it kind of just stopping the ringing. Right there, so it stopped. So it's the same pitch now. And the idea is to get it as fast as you can to stop wavering like that. Without overshooting it. Really good one. And of course you could do that everywhere. scale am I? I just changed it to E minor by accident. All right. So, yeah, I was just going to make a point. Yeah, just, guess what was my point there with this? Totally forgot. Maybe I need more coffee. Wake up today. You never did tell me what you're drinking out there today. I know it's beer o'clock somewhere. But, oh, I know what I was going to say now. I know it's really hard to do the bend that way, right? So another good way to do it would be to, if you're doing it, say, down here again, just don't hold down this note like this. Just let go of this. Just focus more on the bend part. Hit this note first on the B string, the E and the B. Same thing over here. Hit this note. Because now you're not gonna have to worry about the vibrations. You'll get it. I mean, that sounds better right there. Or here. You can do. So that's really easy too. Not easy, but it's easier to because you have some play there. If you do this bend while holding the other note down, you better be spot on. And you could add some vibrato to that too. So, really cool. You got it? All right. That's good news. Good news, Jeffrey Boyle. I'm sure I drove my parents crazy spending hours doing these little skills. That is so true. Oh, man. Think about driving people crazy with that. But you don't really get better until you do stuff that you're not good at, right? I mean, if you're practicing all the time of, what you're good at, then, you'll be good at that thing, but, you'll never improve on the other things. So don't just be limited to just the, the E major scale. Just switch around and do any scale. Like, we'll switch it up in a bit, but what I did with that backing track was a good practice. You have a little progression. That's like I'm doing something like a. Forget what I was doing. Whatever it was. When I hit the E note, the E chord, I'm bending up to an E here. Then I hit the C sharp minor. So I'm bending up to the C sharp. Then I'm back to the E. Then I take the next note up, or the next harmony note. I'll go up to the third. I'll bend up to the third on the E. And when C sharp comes, I'll bend up to the third of that. And then on the E again, I'll go to the fifth. And on F sharp, fifth there. Then back to the seventh again. I'll bend it like here. That one. And then here. And here's the seventh of that. which is a B. So you could do a whole progression like this. Check it out. Again. Going off the rails a little bit, but it's easy to play tasty when you're really focusing on one particular thing, simplicity. And like, I'd rather sit here and just kind of work on stuff like that, because that's really all that matters at the end of the day, is the feel and whether you're in the pocket or not, I think people get too ahead of themselves with that. And they could just lay back, play simple stuff, and just with the right feel and the right approach. Like I said, that really separates the people that are really, really put themselves into this, Like it says on the picture. What did I put on there? On the thumbnail. On the cover. I can see a picture right here, I think. Maybe. I don't remember what I did, but I think it's I did some kind of my thumbnail that I did. That crazy stuff, right? So yeah. Oh. Sounds a little like Beast of Burden. Let's see. Does it sound like Beast of Burden? It's like a Beast of Burden would be like a same chord progression, so it's like it would be like a You're right, exactly. I think that's the right key too that they play it in. When I play it in D. I just dropped the key a little bit. How about that for? I hate guitar tuners. They just don't work. I think I could tune better without it. See, it's like sounds better to me. Except for that don't sound too good. That E. So, hopefully you're getting something from this. I know I am. All right. Close enough for rock and roll. Close enough for rock and roll. Yeah, muscle memory. For sure, Scott. For sure. And it's a great ear training, you know. Especially going up the scales and, you know, mimicking the notes. And using the wrist and the fulcrum is very, very important. So let's talk a little bit about vibrato now. And with vibrato, it's an interesting thing. It's very they kind of go hand in hand with each other, the bending and vibrato. Like when you hit a note here, if you hit it, if you fret it, and you start bending it, it's going up in pitch. I mean, it's a no-brainer, but a lot of times you don't really think about that stuff. So what you're technically doing when you're bending is you're bending the note sharp and out of tune with the chord. So you have to be kind of careful with that. You know, you want to be able to come back to the pitch so it doesn't sound like sharp or bad. You know, and finding the right speed of the vibrato is important. So, any questions out there about vibrato, you know, let me know. Like, what's your favorite type? I mean, there's fast vibrato, something like that. There's another way where people play it, like violin style. They'll take the note and they'll just kind of go left and right with their hand. So it's not going sharp. When you do it the traditional way, you're adding like a chorus effect, essentially, where you're bending the pitch sharp and flat again. That's what chorus does. But you could also go left to right, like some of the 80s players like George Lynch and stuff used to go like that. Now you're not really bending the note sharp because you're going side to side, so what it's doing is it doing anything? You hear it like doing a little wavering there. Right there, right? Yeah. It's not really quite going as sharp as if I bent it up. Hear that? It's pretty cool vibrato. Wow, that's pretty wild. I think Steve Vai did like a circular type of vibrato as well. Something like that. Kind of interesting. I mean, it's so expressive. That really, you know, I remember, you know, watching this concert on TV, and it was some of my favorite guitar players. Well, actually, it wasn't some of my favorite guitar players. It was just a bunch of great guitar players from before my time. You know, like my influences. Like, you know, Robbie Krieger, for instance, who I met, and really, really great guy. But, you know, growing up, I loved the Doors, but it wasn't like he was my idol or anything, you know. He was, you know, when you think of guys that I loved, the guys that they loved were like Jeff Beck, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page. So there was a bunch of guys like Robbie Krieger, and maybe it was, I don't know, guys of that era were playing. Maybe guys like Leslie West or something. He wasn't there. I'm just throwing out names. Or the guy from Creedence, John Fogerty. But they were all playing. I'm you know, I was probably a teenager or something, maybe in my early 20s. This is a couple years ago. And they were all jamming on stage, And they weren't like technically great, these guys. You know, great songwriters, great musicians, great guitar players, but they weren't like, you know, the Randy Rhodeses or Eddie Van Halen's or Yngwie thing, you know. But one thing that they all had that was great, and I'm lying back on my couch watching this, is that I was super floored by their bending and their vibrato. It's like these guys were like, you know, this is in the 90s probably, and they were old then. So they're like dinosaurs now, you know what I mean? But, you know, one thing that they had is that they had great bending and great vibrato, and I was just like, why do they sound so good, these guys? And sometimes I'd go, well, why do I sound so bad? Listening back to some recordings of myself, and I go, wow, these guys just sound really good. And you know what it was? You would watch them, and they'd make a ridiculous face, and it would just bend right up perfectly. And that's like all they knew. You know, they knew like... They sounded so good because their bends were just super smooth, perfectly in tune. And I thought, wow. And that's where, you know, my influences got it from them. You know, you guys, you know, every guitar player kind of learns from the previous generation or their generation and so on and so on. So really good, really amazing night for me to discover, you know, that aspect and to see the importance of that. And it's something that no one, you know, I mean, no one really told me for a while. My first couple of years of playing, it's not like somebody went up to me and said, hey, you know, you're pretty good. You're getting somewhere with this, but you need to work on your vibrato and your bending more. You know, it's almost like they wanted me to like play with bad bending and vibrato. Like they didn't just tell me. And I played with some good guitar players who had great. I just, you know, I didn't notice it. I mean, I didn't notice, like I said, when I was watching that video of these legends playing, it was until then where I really noticed the importance of it. And then I started listening to everybody else's vibrato and bending and just totally tried to emphasize it because, you know, you could always revert back to the bad habits of, you know, not doing it so well. So you always have to kind of, you know, it's kind of just like singing. You know, singing, it's like you can't be lazy with singing. If you're going to hit a vibrato, you want to hit the note right on, spot on. And if you get lazy, you know, you'll start being flat with it. It's the same thing with guitar. And like I think when you guys mentioned it here, the kind of a half-ass way, right, of doing it, you have to be really all in on it. Like it's music, you know, you want to not be lazy with it. You want to be thinking about hitting every note. Yeah, I'm not giving you a lecture or anything like this. I'm just saying, you know, that's what I think of is I want to play every note like it's expensive. Who said that? Bono or The Edge? When he plays guitar, he said that when I choose to write a solo, I look at the notes as if they're expensive notes. So it's like if I only have like, you know, a certain amount of money, I can only afford these 3 notes. So I got to make the most of them. I got to really milk them out. So stuff like that. right. Hopefully you're getting some value out of today. That's because the focus is learning the basics of chords and scales, not necessarily techniques or style exaggerations. Yeah, absolutely. Basics of chords and scales, not necessarily techniques or style exaggerations. Right on. Awesome, man. You jam with Leslie West? Wow, that's cool. You got to tell me a little bit more about that. When was that jam? And why did I miss it? At this point in my playing, the vibrato just comes naturally. I don't necessarily think about it. I just play the music, let it determine the velocity. Yeah, that's cool. That is really, really cool. And that is how you should do it. You know, you take a song and it's just like, it depends on the song. You're right. You know, like we jammed on that one thing and had a certain feel to it, like a, you know, like this, right? We'll do this again, but real quick. I did like a, so think of the vibrato. I mean, it really depends on the type of feel you want. I can go fast. How would it sound? But naturally, I would just kind of, you can go with the tempo of the song or double it up. If you want to get analytical about it, I'm bending with a like an eighth note instead of a 1, 2, 3. The quarter notes 1, 2. Eighth notes would be ba 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 ba. So your vibrato could be like that, like on one note. One thing I didn't say before is the purpose of when you bend up to a note, there you have the ability to give a vibrato from underneath the note. Whereas before, if you just hit the note right on, you're always going to be bending sharp. But if you go underneath the note and bend up and give vibrato, you're able to give some vibrato from underneath the note and above the note, which sounds different than this. So check it out, something like this. If I did. Check it out, here's some hitting the note from the fret. Here's underneath it. Lydian riff in there. Going off the rails a little bit, but that was fun. Great lesson. Thanks for sharing. John, Cisco. I'm so bad with my grammar, my spelling, my names, but I think I got it right this time. John Cisco. Maybe I'm dyslexic as well. At least it isn't Cisco. Like some names just has an extra thing in there. You know what I mean? And I haven't been drinking, so that's the problem probably. But thank you. Thank you very much. That's very, very cool of you. I'm glad you got something out of this value. You know, I woke up this morning and I didn't know what to do exactly. I mean, this is episode 165, right? This is like how many years is that now? And sometimes I just don't know what I'm going to do until like the morning. And I wake up and I go, what am I going to do? I can do this, I can do that. And I thought, okay. As it narrows in and gets crunch time, you have to make a decision and just go with it. And I thought, well, this is good. This is easy, it's fun, and it's important. I always think at the end when I can't think of anything, I go, how can I give value? How could someone get something out of this? You know, and it has to be something that I want to do too, obviously, you know. And this is something I love talking about and practicing and playing. But the most important thing is, how do I give you some value here and to take something away with? And I can't think of anything more important than this, really, of just playing with good vibrato and bending. And hopefully you get something out of this. And, you know, use all kinds of scales, you know. And what's cool is that, you know, you do a wide vibrato, too. Something like a, you know, if you're like doing something like a... Now, what was that nonsense right there? Basically, you can go as wide as the interval allows you. So once again, in that scale, you have all these intervals. So if I was bending up to the F sharp, like on an F sharp chord, like a... I can go as wide as that whole step lets me. Right? But the next note, if it's a minor chord, I only have a half step there. So I can only bend it. That is. Just wanted to bust out the Friedman pedal. Let's see if there's another track we could do. What is this one? What does this one do? 4 count. It's like a... and then I have that... right. So that was a... G to a B. All right. Well, that was fun. That just shows like the wide vibrato. And I'm just taking the wider. If you have a whole step there, you can bend it up. I'm so sorry. How did that happen? I thought I turned all notifications off. That doesn't... You can't escape it. In the Apple realm, they control you. All right. Let's answer a couple of these. Go back for a second here. On Ozman. That was when he was in The Vagrants. All right. Leslie West and The Vagrants. I don't really know much about Leslie West, believe it or not, and The Vagrants and Mountain. All I know is Mississippi Queen was a great song, and everyone loves, so many people loved Leslie West. You know, and for a while I didn't really understand why. I was like, you know, because it's an acquired taste, you know. But then you go back and you watch how amazing he was throughout the years, and he was definitely an inspiration to lots of people. Even Eddie Van Halen was a huge Leslie West fan in Mountain. They used to play Mountain songs, Van Halen, back in the day, right? Everyone did. So, yeah, very cool. And I always, you know, love listening to different guitar players and to see what it is that they offer the world with their music and their expression. And he was someone who just poured it all into it. He was just great, always. And, yeah. So greetings from Portugal, Andre Henslide. Henslide. Is that right? I'm butchering your name. I'm sorry. Henslide. Greetings from Portugal. All right. Beijos. Beijos, Portugal. Right on. I know some really amazing people that are Brazilian. I know they speak Portuguese. And she taught me how to say beijos. And she gave me a big fat kiss. So I always enjoy thinking about that. So thank you, Andre. And greetings from Brooklyn, New York. Jeffrey Boyle, so cool. Way before Mountain. He's talking about the Vagrants. All right. Played at L'Amour in Brooklyn, which I've never been to L'Amour's. That's kind of before my time here in Brooklyn, even though I was born in Brooklyn, but I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So, I was born here in Brooklyn, and then I moved to Florida when I was 7 years old. So I always say that I retired when I was 7, and I moved to Florida, Boca Raton, and played shuffleboard. So, he and Waddy Witchell were great friends. I know that about Leslie West. Waddy Witchell. Watchell. Am I pronouncing that right? Good friends? Is that right? Have to check that out. All right. So, we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. And I guess I didn't talk about intonation as much. Well, really, the whole lesson was pretty much about intonation. Just getting intonation. And I'm not going to give like the scientific definition of it, but it's really how in tune you could be. Like this chord sounds pretty in tune. So it's pretty in tune. That sounds pretty out of tune. You hear that shaking the vibrato? No. All I did was stretch the strings out a little bit. A little bit better, right? You don't hear that like that. Where it's a perfect, no vibration there, no unwanted. So when I take a note, like if the chord is E major, and I want to emphasize this note, I'm going to try to get it as in tune with the chord as I can. I'm going to hit it. You don't need vibrato right off the bat. I think I learned that from Joe Satriani. When you hit that note, you don't even have to put vibrato on it right away. You could hit the note and then determine what kind of vibrato you want afterward. I mean, obviously you want to make a kind of a quick decision, but you can hit the note and then, hit it right away. Like, for instance, in this example right here, the kind of vibrato is like I'm hitting it at the note. Oh, it's harsh. I'm hitting the note, then I'm shaking it like. I don't know what I want to play with you. I can go right off the bat. Or I could just bend up to it and then shake it. Hit the note, no vibrato. then vibrato. Off the rails. All right. Well, we went a little crazy. We went off the rails a bit, right? All right, so we're going to wrap it up here today. Thank you so much for hanging out here with me for a little bit, for an hour here today on a Sunday. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday. Who do you got in the big game today, huh? Steelers. All right. So he and Waddy Watchell were great friends, and I know that about Leslie West. Wachtel. Oh, I pronounced it wrong. Wachtel. Okay. Wachtel. It's like the phonetical spelling. He's a great session player. He was Linda Ronstadt's guitar player for years. Wow, cool. Waddy Wachtel. I'll have to check him out for sure. And so now you're drinking flower tea? You sure it's not that Thai tea that I expressed how delicious it was in one of the previous lives? But it had a very peculiar name. We won't really kind of go back there right now, but it's interesting. That's awesome. Sounds delicious. You know, I would get Thai food again tonight if I didn't get it already twice in the last 4 days, so I have to. Face green smiling. That sounds like a tea. Face green smiling. Interesting. That's some tea. I can go for a medicine ball. You know the medicine balls, Starbucks? Those are really good. You just say, I want a medicine ball. It's not on the menu, but they know what it is that you want. And it's good to the last drop. Look, I have one last sip here. Boy, that's good stuff. Even to the last drop. Let's get to the last drop. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me here today. As usual, I'll just talk about my guitar course just for a second. Oh, and it's right here. It's called the Essential Skills Collection for Guitar. And I'm going to go ahead and add more videos to this course, believe it or not, coming up really soon. Right now I'm actually recording. I'm recording a couple of new songs, Cherries songs. So that's the reason why I haven't really put more into the course yet. But once I'm done with these 2 new original recordings that I'm working on right now, I'm going to get back to adding some more videos. But as of now, the course consists of 6 videos. It talks about fretboard memorization, where I give the easiest ways to really learn the fretboard. And then I get into the circle of fifths, which is so good because that really just shows you all the chords all over the neck as well, and all the different keys. And it's really easy to look at that circle and figure out how to have some fun with it. And then I go into stuff like we're doing today, the blues, where that really is where your soul and feel comes from. And so it's a great course. Check it out. I'll put the link in the description. And please check that out when you get some time. I really appreciate that. And we'll cut that off right there. So thanks for, what is the medicine ball? It is a really, really good drink. Just Google it. It's just one of the, like some kind of mint citrus. It's like a citrusy mint tea. And then they put, it's like a concoction of something that's really, really good. Just trust me on that one. Just say medicine ball and you'll get it, and it'll cure anything. And, it's really pretty good. I learned about it. I wasn't feeling too good one time I was at the airport, and I remembered that someone had told me, get this medicine ball, and I felt really good afterward. It's a really good drink. So, really cool. So, all right. So I guess I'll see you guys next week. And it will be on Sunday because I'm still home next Sunday, which I'd love to keep these consistent. So next Sunday, the 18th, I'll be here. But the next Sunday after that, the 21st, we'll have to figure something out because I'll be in Florida for one show with the ABBA tribute. It's going to be in where is it? It's Sunny Isles, Florida. If you know anything about that, it's North Miami by Aventura. I know that much. It's that should be pretty cool. It's at Sunny Isles Beach, Florida. So I'm gonna have some friends from the old neighborhood come out and see that. It's gonna be really cool. So I like to keep it consistent, keep it on Sundays. But when I go back on tour in March for a few weeks, it's gonna be a little tricky then as well. Who am I picking today in the Super Bowl? Oh, man. I don't want to upset anybody here with my predictions. Kansas City, it's going to be hard for Kansas City not to win, but, I like to see someone else, maybe San Fran, kind of come in there and do some damage. But you know what, really, who I'm rooting for? Whoever's losing on the last drive of the game is who I want to win. You know what I mean? You want that last drive. You want that team to come back. They're down by 4, and you want them to be down to the wire. Just like my song, Down to the Wire. Which I didn't write this riff, by the way. Down to the wire. And yeah, so whoever's down to the wire and needs that touchdown at the end, that's who I'm rooting for. Just to make it fun for me, since my Steelers aren't in it, But it's going to be hard to beat the Chiefs, and the refs. It's going to be hard to beat the Chiefs and the refs at the same time. You can beat the Chiefs, but you can't beat the refs. And the refs are going to, that's my prediction. The referees are going to make a call at the end of the game or somewhere in the game that's going to give them a first down. It's going to be a penalty. It's going to give the Chiefs an extra first down. And they're going to go ahead and score, just like the last Super Bowl. without holding. Do you remember that against the Eagles? Queensryche feel there. Yeah. Well, this is a song that Down to the Wire that's that I recorded on my last album, Married to Myself, and it's being used on a great podcast called the Steel Curtain Network, and it's where I watch all my Steelers stuff, and I'm really grateful and proud to have all of my music on pretty much this podcast. I play lots of songs, not all of them, but lots of songs. And I recorded this because I knew I wanted to have it on a sports show because it's called Down to the Wire, and most sports come down to the wire right there. Refs need seeing eye dogs. They sure do. Those refs, man, they'll keep it close, right? But you're right, it is kind of a Queensryche type of feel right there. Of course, I was totally into Queensryche back in the day. Like I said, I didn't write that riff though. I wrote the lyrics and helped arrange the song Down to the Wire way back in the day. But the guy who wrote that riff is my buddy Carl Bailey, who I was in a band with for years as a kid, and a young man and an adult. Played with him for years, but I started when I was 14 playing with Carl in my first band. So he is an amazing guitar player. A couple of years older than me, and when I first started playing with him when I was 14, he was like 17 or 18, and he was like amazing. So it really, inspired me to get better. So always play with people that are better than you, and you'll get better. It'll rub off on you a little bit. And if you don't, if it's someone a little bit lower in the ranks, I'm sure he's feeling the same way about playing with you. Try to, pass it on. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for spending some time here with me. I love hanging out with you on Sunday, playing guitar, chatting about music and all that stuff. So thank you, Ozman and Scott and Jeffrey. Really appreciate you, and really cool. For any people, new people that popping in, Andre from Portugal and John. Really cool. I really appreciate it. And all the people that are watching in the future. A lot of times these lives get a lot of replay value, especially if they're if you hit that like button. They'll see that people like it and it's engaging, and that there's some kind of value here. So for years to come, people will be watching this, and hopefully for years to come, they'll enjoy this and get something out of it. So let me know in the comments, how you feel about this. What are some of the struggles you have with bending? I'm sure there was a point somewhere where people are like, wow, he's good, but man, his bending, he did a great riff, but he ended on a not so good note with right intonation and vibrato. So keep that in mind. Let me know some of your struggles with bending. The struggle is real, folks. So thanks, guys. I love you. I did make a video on bending. One of my first videos that I made when I started doing YouTube videos in 2020, I made a video called How to Bend Guitar Strings. My top 5 tips. So thank you guys for watching. I love yous. Remember, be cool, be kind, be cherry. If you want to see that video on bending, 5 tips to bending strings, I'll put it right up there, and I'll see you next time. All right, see you in the next video. Love yous. Ciao. Right on. Gritty frets make bending a pain. That's a whole nother topic right there. We'll talk about next time. Peace.